welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The big story today. After India, now Taliban-led Afghanistan is planning to drop a water bomb on Pakistan. In response to Pakistan's attack, killing 17 people, the Taliban supreme leader has directed its Ministry of Water and Energy to immediately begin construction of dam on the Kunar River. Afghan Information Ministry has confirmed that the dam on Kunar River is aimed at limiting water supply to Pakistan. Here's a report by Meenakshi Shandalia.
Following the horrific Pahalgam attack, India suspended parts of the Indus Water Treaty, effectively stopping water supply to Pakistan. Now, the Taliban-ruled Afghanistan is preparing for the same. The supreme leader of the Taliban, Mawlavi Hibatullah Akhundzada, has directed the Ministry of Water and Energy to immediately begin construction of a dam on the Kunar River. The Afghan Information Ministry has confirmed that the dam is aimed at limiting water supply to Pakistan. Mohajir Farahi, the Deputy Minister of Information, posted on X stating that the order has instructed him to start construction on dams on the Kunar River as soon as possible and to sign contracts with domestic companies, not waiting for any foreign companies. Earlier in May, the Taliban Army General Mohammad Mobeen Khan had visited the Kunar area to inspect the dam and urged the Kabul government to allocate funds for the construction of several dams. The move comes amid escalating military tensions between both countries along the Durand line. Pakistan had carried out airstrikes in Afghanistan's southeastern Paktika province, targeting residential areas in Argon and Barmal districts, killing 17 people, including 3 Afghanistani cricketers. The timing of the attack coincided with Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi's formal visit to India and the build-up of diplomatic relations between India and Afghanistan. During the visit, he had appreciated India's assistance in the construction of the Salma Dam and agreed to cooperate on future hydroelectric projects. It seems that the growing bonhomie between India and Afghanistan has left Pakistan deeply troubled. Now, if Afghanistan stops the Kunar River water supply to Pakistan, it will be double jeopardy from Islamabad from both its neighbors, ruining its agriculture and water management system. With Meenakshi Shandalia, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, there is more than meets the eye. On Statecraft today, we dive deep into the heart of Indus waters. South Asia's rivers are no longer just water, they're weapons. If Pakistan continues with its ways, then Taliban-ruled Afghanistan will follow India's path and squeeze Pakistan dry, turning dams into leverage and reshaping the region's geopolitical battlefield. First, India did it. Put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance, cutting Pakistan's lifeline in the name of national security, reiterating its position that terrorism and water can't flow together. Now, Afghanistan has joined the party. The Taliban supreme leader has ordered construction of dams on the Kunar River, threatening to choke the Kabul River flow into Pakistan, a move that could dry up fields, dim lights and expose Pakistan's water dependence. From Kashmir's glaciers to the Hind Kush mountains, Islamabad's rivers of life are turning into rivers of leverage. And this time, it's not just India holding the damn card. It's Afghanistan, a country Pakistan once sought to control. Has Pakistan's old backyard turned into its newest battleground over water? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. India put in abeyance Indus Waters Treaty after the Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 civilians, an attack that was carried out by Pakistan-backed terrorists. And now the Taliban and Taliban-ruled Afghanistan is flexing its hydrological muscles, ordering construction of dams to control its rightful waters. The Kunar River, flowing from Afghanistan into Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, could soon be weaponized. Both New Delhi and Kabul have realized the same truth. Water is power, and Pakistan's overdependence is its biggest weakness. Is Islamabad facing the region's first two-front water war? Water has always been South Asia's invisible weapon. The Indus, the Kabul, the Kunar, they're not just rivers. They're arteries of agriculture, food, and survival for millions. When the British partitioned India in 1947, they divided not just land, but lifelines. India inherited the upstream advantage, Pakistan, the downstream dependency. For decades, this imbalance simmered under the surface, moderated only by the Indus Waters Treaty of 1960. That treaty, brokered by the World Bank, gave India control over the eastern rivers, Beas, Ravi, and Satluj, and Pakistan the rights to western ones, Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum. But treaties, like rivers, change course with time. The moment India froze the Indus Waters Agreement after the Pahalgam terror attack, Pakistan's water insecurity resurfaced with vengeance. And just as Islamabad scrambled to contain that crisis, Kabul opened a new front, a hydrological uppercut from the Hindu Kush. For decades, Pakistan weaponized terrorism. Now India has weaponized water. Pakistan's traditional foreign policy, which relied on leveraging geography, is collapsing under the weight of its own geography. Every dam Afghanistan builds, every treaty India suspends, chips away at Pakistan's leverage. The country that once sought strategic depth in Afghanistan is now discovering strategic drought. India's quiet support for Afghanistan's water sovereignty is not just aid, it's alignment. The Salman Shatut dams are more than concrete structures. They're diplomatic anchors. They reduce Afghan dependence on Pakistan's electricity grid and give Kabul the ability to dictate water terms downstream. India's assistance also gives it indirect leverage while maintaining plausible deniability. It doesn't need to cut Pakistan's water itself if its ally upstream can do so. For New Delhi, this is strategic brilliance, and for Islamabad, strategic suffocation. The unfolding India-Afghanistan-Pakistan triangle just isn't about rivers. It's about a changing balance of power in South Asia. Water, once seen as a natural resource, is now a political resource. Whoever controls the flow controls the future. Pakistan is learning this the hard way. From New Delhi to Kabul, its neighbors are asserting hydro-sovereignty. And in this new regional reality, treaties are tools of the strong, not shields for the weak. The 21st century great game isn't fought over oil or ideology, it's fought over water. India struck first with the Indus. Now the Taliban follows with the Kunar. Between them, Pakistan is being squeezed dry, diplomatically, geographically, and literally. For decades, Islamabad played fire with proxy wars. Today, it faces the floodgates of its own making. The rivers that once nourished it now define its isolation. As the Taliban tightens the tap and India fortifies its dams, can Pakistan adapt before its rivers of influence run completely dry? Or will it discover that in South Asia's new water wars, it's the downstream that always drowns first? After the United States imposed sanctions on Russia's largest oil companies, Lukoil and Rosneft, Russian President Vladimir Putin derided the sanctions as unfriendly, claiming that they wouldn't hurt the Russian economy. Putin also warned that the reduced oil supply can raise global prices and can be uncomfortable for countries like the US. He stated that US sanctions would raise energy prices and hinted at a strong response if tensions escalate. Along with the US, European Union also announced a phased ban on Russian liquefied natural gas, that's LNG. French President Emmanuel Macron has also supported the sanctions made by US and the European Union.
We will deliver in the weeks to come on additional efforts on financing. We had a very long discussion at the European Council yesterday. We will make progress in the weeks to come, probably. Ursula and Antonio will revert on that. but I'm confident that we will finalize our discussions. But we all share the same objectives, meaning giving visibility and providing financing for Ukraine. In parallel, we also need to continue to step up our military support to Ukraine. Air defense capacities, long-range capabilities, drones and anti-drone system. I want to confirm, Volodymyr, that we will deliver in the days to come additional Aster missiles, new training programs and new Mirage, and we will, with some other colleagues, confirm some additional initiatives.
Global oil prices jumped about 5% after the sanctions amid fears of supply disruptions. India's Reliance Industries and major Chinese oil firms plan to cut Russian crude imports. Meanwhile, India has denied to accept the limits on its trading choices. Listen in to what the Trade Minister, Piyush Goyal, had to say in Berlin.
So I was reading in today's paper, Germany is asking for exemption from US sanctions on oil. Now these are UK already has sorted and probably got an exemption for procuring oil from the US.
This is about the Rosneft deal, sanctions, right. I think, and we've sorted out the issues with Germany. We managed to do that very quickly, and I think the Americans will do something very similar.
So then why single out India?
Well, it's a specific subsidiary in relation to Rosneft.
We also have a subsidiary in India of the Rosneft.
Well, come and talk to us.
Sanctions have been imposed and there are going to be impacts. Here's a report by Debagna Datta on what are these sanctions and how they can impact India.
US President Donald Trump just dropped what his Treasury Secretary calls one of the largest sanctions ever imposed on Russia. The targets, Rosneft and Lukoil, Russia's two biggest oil companies that fuel the Kremlin's war machine in Ukraine. Given President Putin's refusal to end this senseless war, Treasury is sanctioning Russia's two largest oil companies, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent declared. But here's the thing, these sanctions aren't just about Russia. They're about to shake up global oil markets, and India is right in the crosshairs. The timing is crucial. Trump imposed these sanctions just one day after cancelling a planned summit with Putin in Budapest. His reason? Putin wasn't being honest and forthright in ceasefire negotiations.
But that'll be a big one. We canceled the meeting with President Putin. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like we were going to get to the place we have to get, so I canceled it. But we'll do it in the future. But next week we'll be with many of you in those locations that I told you. Then it's back to Washington. So
let's break down what this means for India. Russia's oil and gas exports make up about a quarter of Moscow's federal budget. China and India, they're the biggest buyers. Together, Beijing and New Delhi account for the majority of Russian energy exports. Since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, India has become the largest buyer of discounted Russian seaborne crude, importing about 1.7 million barrels per day this year alone. That's cheap oil, keeping fuel prices down for Indian consumers. But Trump isn't happy about it. He's already slapped India with a 25% punitive tariff for buying Russian oil. And now, with Rosneft and Lukoil sanctioned, the pressure is intensifying. Trump claims Prime Minister Modi assured him that India was not going to buy much oil from Russia because Modi too wants to see the war end with Russia-Ukraine. But New Delhi's official line, India's priority is protecting consumers in a volatile energy market. Here's where it gets complicated. According to Reuters, Indian state refiners, including Indian Oil Corporation, Bharat Petroleum, and Hindustan Petroleum, are now reviewing their Russian oil trade documents to make sure no supply is coming directly from Rosneft or Lukoil. The good news, most Indian refiners don't buy directly from these companies anyway. They use intermediaries, middlemen who handle the transactions. Now, will the US actively threaten secondary sanctions on Chinese banks, UAE traders, and Indian refiners that deal with these Russian companies? If Washington follows through with enforcement, India could face a tough choice: cheap Russian oil or access to US markets. Russia, for its part, is defiant. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharov fired back, saying Moscow has developed strong immunity to Western sanctions.
We view this step as extremely counterproductive. It sends bad signal in terms of reaching significant negotiation progress on Ukrainian conflict settlement. If current US administration starts to take their predecessors as example that tried to make Russia abandon its national interests with legal sanctions, the result will be absolutely the same. It will be a failure for domestic affairs and negative for stability of the world economy.
The European Union has joined in too, approving its 19th sanction package against Russia, including a ban on Russian LNG imports by 2027. So what does this all mean for India? In the short term, expect some pullback. Indian refiners will be cautious, ensuring compliance to avoid getting caught in the sanctions net. Long term, it depends on how seriously Washington enforces these measures. If Trump is truly committed to choking off Russia's oil revenues, India may have to look elsewhere for energy, potentially driving up costs for Indian consumers. New Delhi finds itself walking a diplomatic tightrope, balancing a strategic autonomy, energy security, and relations with Washington. One thing's certain: the days of India quietly buying discounted Russian crude without consequences may be coming to an end. As global oil markets brace for disruption, Indian consumers and policymakers alike are watching closely, because what happens next could hit everyone's wallet. With Dibangana Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
In a major move, the European Union is considering repurposing nearly 200 billion euros of frozen Russian central bank assets held primarily in Belgium's Euroclear to finance Ukraine's war effort. European Union leaders are set to approve reparation loans, marking the first time in history that frozen enemy assets fund the victims' defense. Here's a report by Shaurik Saha on how this unprecedented financial move could reshape global wartime economics, setting a powerful precedent for how aggressor nations' assets are used in future conflicts.
It is a wide-ranging and extensive package that hits at the heart of the Russian war economy.
The European Union is preparing to hit Russia where it hurts the most. It's frozen billions. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022, the EU has frozen nearly 200 billion euros of Russian central bank assets. Most of that money is sitting untouched inside the Euroclear, a powerful financial institution based in Belgium. Now, Brussels wants to put that cash to work, not for Russia, but for Ukraine.
My position that, first of all, we need to use any kind of Russian money for Ukrainian production and increase it. It's cheaper and quicker. And we speak, first of all, about long range. It's about drones. It's about electronic warfare, systems of electronic warfare, and it's about missiles. In any case, one of the ways to pressure on them, and by the way, they're afraid very much that Europe will make this union decision. And of course, one of the ways is to use frozen assets. And between us, not only on humanitarian things. Yes, because they attack us. We need to defend and answer.
EU leaders are set to approve a groundbreaking reparations loan that could hand Kyiv up to 140 billion euros to keep its war effort alive. But here's the twist. The EU won't seize Russia's assets directly. That's legally risky. Instead, the bloc plans a clever workaround, borrowing from the matured funds in Euroclear and loaning that money to Ukraine. Kyiv would only repay if Russia eventually foots the bill on the war's destruction. Belgium, however, is nervous. Prime Minister Bart de Wever warns that the move could drag his country into expensive legal battles with Moscow. He's demanding ironclad guarantees from all 27 EU nations before signing off. Still, EU leaders are pressing ahead. They aim to finalize the plan by year's end, ensuring Ukraine's funding through 2026 and 2027.
It is a wide-ranging and extensive package that hits at the heart of the Russian war economy. And we will keep up pressure on Russia for as long as it takes, just as we've always said that we will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes to secure an end to the killing and a just and lasting peace. We had a good discussion on the reparations loan to be financed with immobilized Russian assets, and it allowed us to identify points we still need to clarify, and then indeed we will come back with the different options that we will develop.
The big question now is who controls how the money is spent. France wants it to boost Europe's own defense industry, while others argue that Ukraine should buy weapons from anywhere, even the United States. If approved, this will be the first time in history that frozen enemy assets bankroll the victim's defense, a financial gamble that could redefine global warfare economics. With Saurik Saha, Bureau Report, India Today.
The White House has defended the controversial $100,000 H-1B visa fee taking effect on the 6th of October. Trump administration stated that it will fight all the lawsuits filed against the H-1B visa policy. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt defended the move in a press conference on Thursday. Listen in.
The administration will fight these lawsuits in court. The president's main priority has always been to put American workers first and also to strengthen our visa system. We know for far too long the H-1B visa system has been spammed with fraud, basically, and that's driven down American wages. So the president wants to refine this system, which is part of the reason he implemented these new policies. These actions are lawful, they are necessary, and we'll continue to fight this battle in court.
The press secretary's comment came after the U.S. Chamber of Commerce sued Trump administration for raising the H-1B visa fee to $100,000. Several unions, employers, and religious groups joined the lawsuit in California and Washington, D.C., claiming the hike is illegal and hurts U.S. industries. According to U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the fee hike violates the Immigration and Nationality Act, which mandates that the visa fees should be solely based on the government's processing costs. Silicon Valley, hub of global innovation, has become the new front line of international espionage, and this time the weapon is seduction. Intelligence officials warn that Chinese and Russian spies are using sex warfare tactics to infiltrate U.S. tech companies, targeting engineers and entrepreneurs through romance, marriage, and manipulation to steal trade secrets. Here's a report by Farhan Khan on how China and Russia are stealing U.S. tech secrets using sex warfare.
Welcome to Silicon Valley, land of billion-dollar ideas, tech geniuses, and apparently international espionage. But this time, it's not your typical spy thriller with gadgets and car chases. It's something a little more seductive and a lot more dangerous. Intelligence experts are warning that Chinese and Russian operatives are using a tactic now being called sex warfare. In short, they're using attractive women to infiltrate tech companies, seduce employees, and steal trade secrets. Sounds like a movie plot? It's not. It's happening right now. Reports suggest that spies posing as charming businesswomen or investors are targeting Silicon Valley engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. Some even go as far as marrying their targets and having children, all to maintain long-term access to classified information. James Mulvenon, a counterintelligence expert and chief of Palmit Consulting, says he's seen a major rise in these kinds of operations. He told The Times that he gets an enormous number of LinkedIn requests from attractive young Chinese women who seem suspiciously interested in defense technology. Experts say sex-based espionage is only one part of a much larger campaign. China and Russia are reportedly using investors, academics, and even cryptocurrency analysts to collect intelligence from the US tech sector. China, for instance, hosts startup competitions in America, which sound innocent enough, but are actually used to harvest business plans and identify promising technologies. Meanwhile, Russia has updated its old Cold War playbook, swapping trench coats for tech startups and venture capital deals. One former US officer revealed a case where a beautiful Russian woman married an American aerospace engineer working on sensitive projects, turning what looked like love into lifelong espionage mission. The financial toll is staggering. Intellectual property theft costs the US an estimated $600 billion a year, mostly due to Chinese operations. Startups in particular are vulnerable. One wrong meeting with the wrong investor and years of innovation could be gone. Silicon Valley's open, collaborative culture makes it the perfect target. The region thrives on networking, idea sharing, and trust, all things that make it hard to detect spies hiding in plain sight. Even America's allies like South Korea and Israel are said to quietly run intelligence gathering operations in the region. There's also a political layer. China reportedly runs influence campaigns in California, recruiting local leaders and even mobilizing student groups for Beijing's causes. Today's espionage battlefield isn't in secret bunkers or military bases. It's in boardrooms, startup incubators, and coffee shops across Silicon Valley. China's hunt for tech secrets has been called an Oklahoma land rush, fast, aggressive, and relentless. And as America's tech hubs spread to places like Austin, Boulder, and Chapel Hill, experts warn the threat will only grow. The lesson? In a world where data is power, seduction might just be the new spy weapon. Bureau Report, India Today Global.
That's all on this edition of India Today Global. Stay tuned to the channel for all the latest news and updates. Goodbye and take care.